Hi, it's Pavel with another C# homework from chapter 6, 20, exercise 23. We will be displaying this shape of a diamond. Obviously, we'll be using some nested loops. So, they only tell us that you may use output statement that display a single asterisk or a space and a single new line character. All right, so only write line, write, and I mean console.write line or console.write can be used, and a star or a space. Now, one thing to notice: the number of stars, the most number of stars is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's an odd number because over here you have 7, then 5, 3, and 1. In other words, it decreases by 2. I mean, over when you come from the top, actually, it increases by 2. When it hits 9, then it decreases by 2, all the way to 1. That's an important thing to keep that in mind. All right, so we need some constants. I did similar exercises before this one, with the triangle shapes and all kinds of stuff with the loops. So you may want to watch those before trying to do this one, just so you can understand what is going on with those loops. So our constant string star equals a star. Our constant string space equals a space. And like I said before, remember number of stars, the maximum number of stars is 9. All right, that's important because we will need to use that in the loops. So constant integer, and I'll call this, I don't know, value star, then equals 9. Not 0, I said 9. There you go. Okay, so now what we need to do is, the output rows. We always output by row, 1 row, 2 rows, and so forth. But you have to account for the spaces between each of these rows that it starts with. Each row starts with some spaces until it hits 9, and that's spaceless. It doesn't have any spaces in between or after. Okay, so I will get an integer. I'll call it row. I'll start with 0. I will integer column and start with 0 as well. And okay, I'm going to do first. I'm going to do basically 2 triangles. This is going to be 1, and then this is going to be the second one. All right, so so this is the top triangle. So in order for us to do it, I will do the while loop first. And while row is less or equal 9, so it's value star. So we will, in other words, we will be looping until we write 9 stars in one line. Then we will do the actual for loop. So our for loop will be very simple. Remember, this is our row, so now we start the column equals 0. Column is less than the value stars. We start with 0, so that's why there is no equal here, because that would add 1 extra. This is 0 base, so from 0 to 9, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And over here we get the column plus plus. All right, but this is not right, obviously. This cannot be, you cannot loop 9 times right away. In fact, the first one you only display 1 star, not 9. 9 is the last iteration of the while loop. So our columns equal value of stars, and remember the number changes by 2. It starts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So we go, if you go, that's not really I have to account for the spaces in between or in front of each row. Now I have the space character, but I'm going to do an integer called spaces, and that will hold the number of spaces between in front of each star. So a value star, we start with 9, and okay, divided by 2, and minus the spaces. Okay, so here what's going to happen. A value star equals 9 at the beginning. If we divide it by 2, we get 4.5, but it's an integer, so it only holds 4. 0.5 is simply disregarded. So 4 minus spaces, which is 0, is 4. The first time we run the first row, we'll write 4 spaces. Before we run, we will write the star. So call for that right space. So we'll write this loop takes care of the spaces, the initial spaces, and now we will need to write a loop for the stars, and which is very similar. For column equals 0, column. How many spaces? I mean, how many stars are we writing? Well, we are writing whatever is the row. Column equals, I mean, is less than row. And our column plus plus. And this is going to write the spaces. So console dot, I mean, this is going to write the stars. Star. All right, there's no semicolon here. Okay, so we hit, this is the top triangle only, remember, up here. So here's what's happening. I hope you can see it. We will loop until we display 9 stars. The first time we run it, our row equals 0, our column equals 0, and our spaces equals 0. So we come over here, and we are going to display the initial stars. How many? Well, column equals 0. This equals, again, column 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Since it's an integer, only 4 is kept, and 4 minus the initial value of spaces is 0 is 4. So the first time we loop, we write 4 spaces. We go around 4 times and write a space. After that, right after that, we go to another loop to write a star, which is only 1 star. Our column equals 0. A column is less than row. Actually, a column should be less than or equal to row, because otherwise it wouldn't write anything at all, because it would say until column is less, until 0 is less than 0, it would be false right from the bat. But if we write equal, then column equals, 0 equals 0, so it writes 1 star. It loops only once. Now we have to decrease, taking care of the row, and our row now equals plus equals 2. We will add 2 of it to it, because again 1, 3, 5, 7, and so forth. So when we have 4 spaces here, we have 3 spaces here, 2 spaces here, and 1 space here. So when it comes to spaces, we will only increase by 1. But rows take care of these stars, which are increased by 2. That's why we are increasing it by 2. So after the first iteration, our row now equals 0 plus 2, which is 2, and our spaces equals 1, 0 plus 1. So it comes over here. Our columns now equals 0. This now equals, what did I say? Our row equals, wait a minute. Yeah, it's correct. So our row equals 0. Uh, Now it equals 2. So 2 is less than 9. So it goes to another loop. It writes the spaces. Now, how many spaces now it writes? Well, remember, this is now 9 divided by 2, which is again 4.5, but only 4 is kept, minus, now spaces now equals 1, so 4 divided by 4 minus 1 is 3. So now it only loops 3 times and writes 3 spaces. Right after that, it goes to write the stars, and we need to write 3 stars. And we do, because the row now it equals 0, now it equals 2, and we start from 0, so we 0, 1, and 2, that's 3 times, so we iterate through this loop 3 times, writing 3 stars. All right, let me run it. And well, I need the console.read line, but obviously there was something wrong with it because it all wrote it in one line, which means I forgot to write uh, after both of these, after each line, I need to move to new line. So console dot write line, an empty line. So now I have the first top triangle. Now I need to do the bottom triangle. All right. So the bottom triangle. After we finished here, we need to go. We need to go backwards, right? So we don't start with 9 anymore. We go straight to 7 stars and 1 space. What do we need to do? We need to decrease our row. Now our row now equals, since we increased by 2, it equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we need to decrease it by the last 2. Because even though after we wrote the last line, we still increased row and the spaces. So now we have to bring it back by 2 to kind of negate or eliminate this increase, the last increase, which it cannot be there between the top triangle and the bottom triangle. Again, imagine this is the last iteration. We write the spaces, which is actually 0 spaces. We write the 9 stars, and then we still increase row and spaces as if we were continuing, but we don't. We are now reversing it. We go backwards. So we have to we kind of have to eliminate this increase, which is basically row minus equals 2. That will bring it to the last value of the row before the increase, and our spaces minus minus, which will bring it back to the value before this increase took place. All right, and now we do another while loop. While now we go backwards, so now we'll start from 0. So until while row is greater or equal to 0, we will do the for loops just like we did before for the spaces and for the stars. So for column equals 0, column is less than value star divided by 2 minus spaces, and column plus plus, so it's the same thing. I will do console write space. We could just use functions. This is obviously a candidate for a function since I'm repeating myself, which you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, in this exercise, this is all about loops, not functions. So I'll just do it this way. For column equals 0, column is less than row. Not equal anymore because we start from 0. Remember, over here we start from 0, while over here we we uh, we start with 9. Over here we start with 0. So if I do it with equal to, either I'm not sure if I would get out of bounds or if it would just increase. You know what? I'll do it like that. So we see what's gonna happen. So that equals to row and column plus plus, and console dot write star. Okay, so it's the same thing but reversed. We start from 0, so now we have to decrease things. Over here we were increasing the value, now we are decreasing the value. So our row minus equals 2, and our spaces minus minus. Okay, so let's run it. And I'm getting something wrong here. I wonder if that might be because I have this equal to. Let's try that. Or if, oh, come on. All right. No, that wasn't that. Okay, so this is our top triangle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, we have 8. We're supposed to have only 7 stars. And see, these are even numbers. We have 8, 6, 4, and 2. We're supposed to have 7, 5, 3, and 1. So we need to start. We need to increase. Since we started with the spaces, okay, well, you know, let me see what's happening there. So I have the top triangle. Now I'm going to do the bottom one. So it doesn't write any space already. It skips it. Column equals 0, which it is, which is less than 9. So it skips it and it goes right to the stars. But it should actually not skip it. If column equals so 9 divided, that's 4, and minus spaces, that's because over here, you see, it's a little tricky. Over here, I don't think we shouldn't do anything with the spaces. No, that's not bad. Yeah, we have to decrease it, obviously. But what is happening is this is never executed at all because this is always less than a column. So okay, here. Let me see. No, no, it's not that, but all right. Yeah, this is a. It skips all this and it goes straight to here. So maybe that has to be +1. Hold on a second. I'm going to leave this in the video just to, maybe you're already laughing because you know what's going on. So I have the top triangle. Now I go to the loop and it skips it right away because star equals 9 divided by 2 and spaces equals 4. So 4 minus 4 is 0, while column is less than 0, which is not true because 0 is not less than 0, it's equal to 0. So yes, this has to have uh, Yeah, the spaces should not be, because if I think about it, after it increases it, it just simply goes to the next line of the triangle. Uh, well, let me see. But then again, this thing doesn't seem to work either. What do I get here? Now I have the top triangle, and I have ready for the next line. So I write a star, our column equals 0, our row equals 8. It shouldn't equal 8. It should equal 7, because we start with 7 stars instead of 8. So over here, uh, it's 0 based. And if row equals 8, so I need to actually decrease it to make it 7. Let me see. Well, not exactly. All right, let's leave the spaces here uh, untouched and just run with -1. All right, so we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did get 7, 5, 3, and 1. All we need to do now somehow figure out how to move these by one space, and then this to new line, which obviously needs. Okay. After this, we need. Yeah, were you laughing too hard that I need a console that right line to move to a new line? Oh, almost. We just need one space, which means over here I need one space. I need to start with one space. This would equal 0 without it. Plus 1 will add the one space that I need. Yes. There you have it. All right. Again, best way to do it, just write a code, debug it, watch it line by line, and you'll see what's happening. All right. I hope it helps you, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Hi. This is a little update that after I finish this exercise, I was going to do the next one, which was supposed to be modified diamond program, and we were supposed to get the input between 1 and 19, an odd number between 1 and 19, that would specify the number of rows in the diamond, and your app should then display a diamond of that appropriate size. Now, I already have done it actually with this exercise. With the code that we just finished, this the value stars, which equals to 9 at this moment, is a constant, and it is used through our the top triangle of the diamond and the bottom triangle as well. But it doesn't have to be 9. That was the initial value that the exercise called for. But if I make it 19, the important thing is it has to be an odd number. If I make it 19, for example, and run it, then my diamond will be bigger. It will have 19 stars over here. So that is the advantage of, or another advantage of using constants like these. If I used numbers instead of value star, I would actually use 9 here. Then I would have to go around and change everything, to the, now I have to make it 19. Then I would have to go over here, make it 19, and so forth. So when you have something like this, it's always good to use the constant. And like I said, this even though we made only uh, 9 stars for the diamond, like I said, we can make it any. We can go. I mean, the exercise says between 1 and 19, but we can make it, I don't know, 29, make it even bigger. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, we can make it as big as we want it. The only difference that we would have to do in order to keep it between 1 and 19, to kind of do an if statement. Make sure that the number that the user enters is between 1 and 19. So I'm going to do that. It's going to be very quick, very simple. So let's do this. All right. Our value star, which is a constant now, they basically want us to have the user input. The user will input the value, how many stars we're supposed to print. So I will comment this out, and I will create a regular integer, not a constant, integer value star. Now I have it capitalized because obviously C# is case sensitive. Otherwise, I would have to rename all the. Actually, I can just do that. I can do value star, just a regular variable with regular syntax, and I will rename. I will go to edit, and was it advanced? Was it in advanced? No, it's of course not. It's a find and replace, quick replace, and over here I will replace value star with a value star, or without it, just star, like that. And I'll replace all. Okay, so we have our value star variable, and then now we'll have to get an input from the user. So before we loop, we ask the user to enter enter the value. Please enter the number of stars. All right, so now the user will enter the number, and we will store it in our value star equals, and we have to convert it to integer, to integer 32, and it's console.readline. So now, since they want us to do the range 1 and between 1 and 19 and odd number, then we'll have to check that. Now we could do a simple if statement, but if you do an if statement now, like if value star, is less than 1, or value star is greater than 19. Now we could do that, but what would happen is this runs only once, and if the user enters the wrong value here again, then we still go and move with the program. Therefore, it's better to do a while loop to get the input right. So while not correct value, which I will have to declare the variable, and so I'll do a boolean correct value, and I'll assume it is false, that the user entered wrong value right off the bat. So while this will be ran at least once. So while not the correct value, we will do the check. If the value star is greater than 1, between 1 and 19, yes, so greater than 1, and value star is less than it's actually less than equal to, and over here it's greater or equal to 19, and then we also have to check to make sure it's an odd number. We're supposed to only get odd number in the range 1 and 19. So in order for us to check it, and we can simply add and value star mod 2 does not equal 0. If it equals 0, it's even. If it doesn't equal 0, then it's odd. So all these three conditions have to be true. The value star has to be equal or greater than 1. It has to be less than or equal to 19. And the mod of value star and 2 cannot be 0. In other words, it has to be odd number. So if it is, then correct value equals true. Else, we will tell the user to output a new to input a new number. So console dot write line, please enter a number, please enter an odd number between 1 and 19. And again, we do the value star equals convert dot to integer 32 and console dot read line. All right, so that's the only change we have to do to modify it to this assignment, except the odd number between 1 and 19. That's all. Like I said, the diamond shape we programmed in the previous exercise already is scalable, so we don't have to really mess with any of these code at all. So let's test it and run it. Okay, please enter a number of stars. So I'll enter 19, for example, and here you have the diamond with 19 stars in the middle. Now if I do a wrong number, let's say I enter 0, please enter a number between 1 and 19. I'll enter 20, incorrect. Now I'll enter a number between, but I'll make it an even number, so let's say 10. Please enter an odd number, so I'll make it 11. Now you finally get the output. So it's working fine, and that's the only modification we needed to do, a simple while loop to check the input, and then since we are already using variables here, we don't have to go around and change any values manually. All we have to do is simply assign the value to that variable up here. Okay, so I hope it helped you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.